The text message glowed on my phone screen, searing my heart like a blade. I'm sorry, Elias. I've been seeing someone else. My knees buckled, and the bustling Brooklyn cafe around me faded into a blur of noise and color. My fiancé, Derek, the man I'd loved for 4 years, had just shattered my world with a single sentence. I stumbled out onto the street, the crisp October air biting at my face as I clutched my phone, rereading the message, hoping it was a cruel joke. Derek and I had built a life together, shared dreams of a brownstone in Park Slope, whispered promises under starlit skies, and a ring on my finger that now felt like a lie. How could he betray me? As I wandered aimlessly, my phone buzzed again. Not Derek this time, but a name I hadn't seen in months, Julian Voss. The billionaire tech mogul who despised Derek with a venom I'd never fully understood. Meet me at the Glass House. 8 p.m. We need to talk. No explanation, no context, just a command, as cold and sharp as the man himself. I arrived at the Glass House, a sleek Manhattan rooftop bar overlooking the glittering skyline. The place screamed wealth, from its crystal chandeliers to the polished marble floors. Julian was already there, leaning against the bar, his tailored black suit accentuating his tall, lean frame. At 32, Julian Voss was a paradox, strikingly handsome with piercing blue eyes and neatly styled blonde hair. Yet his demeanor was glacial, his reputation ruthless. He'd built a tech empire from nothing, and his name was synonymous with power and solitude. Elias, he said, his voice low and measured, as if every word was calculated. I heard about Derek. My stomach twisted. How do you even know? I asked, my voice hoarse. I was 28, a graphic designer with messy dark hair and a tendency to wear my heart on my sleeve. Standing next to Julian, I felt small, exposed. I know everything, he replied, his eyes locking onto mine. And I have a proposition for you. I frowned, wary. Julian and Derek had history, some feud from their college days at Yale that Derek never fully explained. All I knew was that Julian had once called Derek a parasite in a rare moment of heated candor. What kind of proposition? I asked, folding my arms. Julian slid a velvet box across the bar. Inside was a platinum ring, simple yet breathtaking, studded with a single sapphire. Marry me, he said, as if he were offering a business deal. Not for love, for revenge. I stared at him, my heart pounding. You're insane. Am I? His lips curved into a faint, dangerous smile. Derek betrayed you. He's been sleeping with my ex-business partner, Connor, for months. Marry me, and we'll make him regret it. You get stability, a future. I get to watch him burn. The words hit like a punch. Connor? The charming, manipulative hedge fund bro who'd once tried to sabotage Julian's company? My mind reeled, but something in Julian's icy certainty ignited a spark in me. Derek had humiliated me. Maybe this was my chance to take back my power. The next morning, I woke up in my tiny Williamsburg apartment, the ring box sitting on my nightstand like a ticking bomb. I hadn't said yes to Julian. Not yet, but I hadn't said no either. My phone was flooded with missed calls from Derek, each one a reminder of his betrayal. I ignored them and met my best friend, Mia, at a diner. Mia, a 27-year-old journalist with a sharp tongue and a heart of gold, nearly choked on her coffee when I told her about Julian's proposal. You're not seriously considering this, are you? She said, her dark eyes wide. Julian Voss is a shark. He doesn't do feelings, Elias. What's his angle? I don't know, I admitted, stirring my coffee absently. But the way he talked about Derek, it's personal. And I'm so angry, Mia. I want Derek to hurt like I'm hurting. Mia leaned forward, her voice softening. You're allowed to be angry, but don't let revenge trap you in something worse. Her words lingered as I walked home, the city alive with the hum of taxis and street musicians. That night, I met Julian again, this time at his penthouse in Tribeca. The space was all glass and steel, a reflection of his untouchable aura. He poured me a glass of whiskey, his movements precise. "Why me?" I asked, sitting on a leather couch that probably cost more than my annual rent. "You could have anyone. Why propose to a random graphic designer?" "You're not random," Julian said, his gaze intense. "You're the one Derek loves, or claims to love. Taking you from him is the ultimate blow." I flinched at the word loves. "He doesn't love me. Not anymore." Julian stepped closer, his voice dropping. "Then let's make sure he never forgets what he lost." Something in his eyes, a flicker of pain beneath the ice, made me pause. Was this really just about revenge? Or was there more to Julian Voss than the world knew? Over the next week, I played along with Julian's plan. We appeared together at high-profile events, a gallery opening in Chelsea, a charity gala in Midtown. Our engagement splashed across tabloids. Billionaire Julian Voss to wed Brooklyn artist. Derek's frantic texts turned to voicemails, his voice cracking with desperation. "Elias, please, I made a mistake. Don't do this." Each word fueled my resolve. But being around Julian was complicated. He was cold, yes, but there were moments, his hand brushing mine at a dinner, the way he listened when I talked about my art, that hinted at something deeper. One night, at a rooftop party in Soho, I caught him watching me, his expression unguarded for a fleeting second. "What?" I asked, the city lights shimmering below us. "You're not what I expected," he said softly, then turned away, as if he'd said too much. My heart raced. This was supposed to be a game, a transaction. So why did it feel like something else? My fiancé cheated on me, so I accepted the proposal of the cold billionaire who hated him the most. Part 2. The engagement party was a spectacle, held at a sprawling estate in the Hamptons. Chandeliers glittered, champagne flowed, and Manhattan's elite whispered about the whirlwind romance between Julian Voss and me. I wore a tailored navy suit, the sapphire ring gleaming on my finger, but inside, I was a mess. Every smile, every touch from Julian, blurred the line between our charade and something real. Derek showed up uninvited. I spotted him across the lawn, his sandy hair disheveled, his green eyes wild with desperation. "Elias," he called, pushing through the crowd. "You can't do this." Julian appeared at my side, his hand resting possessively on my lower back. "Leave," he said, his voice like steel. Derek's face twisted with rage. "You're using him, Voss. You've always been a manipulative bastard. And you're a cheater," Julian shot back, his calm facade cracking. "You don't deserve him." The guests watched, enthralled, as Derek lunged forward. I stepped between them, my heart pounding. "Stop it, both of you," I shouted. "This isn't about you, Derek. You broke us. You don't get to play the victim now." He froze, his expression crumbling. "I love you, Elias. I messed up, but I love you." Then why wasn't that enough? My voice broke, and I turned away, unable to look at him. Julian guided me inside, his touch steady but gentle. In a quiet study, away from the chaos, Julian handed me a glass of water. "You okay?" he asked, his tone softer than I'd ever heard. "No," I admitted, sinking into a chair. "I thought this would feel good, hurting him, but it just hurts." Julian sat across from me, his blue eyes searching mine. "Revenge doesn't heal," he said quietly. "I should know." I looked at him, really looked at him, and saw something raw beneath his polished exterior. "What happened between you and Derek?" I asked. "Why do you hate him so much?" He hesitated, then spoke, his voice low. "In college, Derek was my best friend. I loved him, not romantically, but deeply. He betrayed me, leaked my startup's code to Connor, who sold it to a competitor. I lost everything I'd built, and he walked away without a scratch. The revelation hit me like a wave." Julian's coldness wasn't just arrogance, it was a shield. "I'm sorry," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "Don't be," he said, standing abruptly. "I don't need pity. I need you to keep up the act." But as he walked away, I saw the tension in his shoulders, the weight of a wound that hadn't healed. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind. Julian and I spent more time together, planning a wedding that was supposed to be fake but felt increasingly real. We'd sit in his penthouse, sketching out details, venues, flowers, vows, and I'd catch myself laughing at his dry humor or noticing the way his eyes softened when he thought I wasn't looking. One night, as we pored over seating charts, I asked, "What happens after the wedding? When the revenge is done?" Julian paused, his pen hovering over the paper. "You're free to go," he said, but his voice was tight, like he didn't mean it. "And if I don't want to?" The words slipped out before I could stop them. He looked at me, his expression unreadable. "Don't say things you don't mean, Elias." "I'm not," I said, my heart racing. I feel something. With you." For a moment, he was silent, his jaw tight. Then he stood, crossing the room to stand inches from me. "This wasn't supposed to happen," he murmured, his voice raw. "You were supposed to be a means to an end. And now," I whispered, my breath catching. He didn't answer. Instead, he kissed me, a fierce, desperate kiss that tasted of whiskey and unspoken truths. My hands found his chest, feeling the rapid beat of his heart, and I knew I was falling for him. My fiancé cheated on me, so I accepted the proposal of the cold billionaire who hated him the most. Part 3. The kiss changed everything. Julian pulled back, his eyes wide with something like fear. "We can't," he said, stepping away. "This is a mistake." "Why?" I demanded, my voice shaking. "Because it's not part of your plan." "Because I don't do this," he snapped, gesturing between us. "I don't let people in. It's safer that way." "Safer?" I laughed bitterly. "You're the one who proposed to me, Julian. You brought me into this." He ran a hand through his hair, his composure fraying. "I didn't expect you to be you. You're kind, Elias. You're real. And I'm not built for that." I wanted to argue, to tell him he was wrong, but the vulnerability in his voice stopped me. Instead, I left, the weight of his words heavy on my shoulders. The next day, Mia dragged me to a queer art exhibit in Bushwick, hoping to lift my spirits. The gallery was alive with color and energy, but my mind was on Julian. As I stared at a painting of two men embracing, Mia nudged me. "You're in love with him, aren't you?" she asked. I opened my mouth to deny it, but the words wouldn't come. "I don't know," I said finally. "He's so guarded. But when I'm with him, I feel seen." "Then tell him," she said simply. "Life's too short for games." That night, I went to Julian's penthouse unannounced. He opened the door, his shirt unbuttoned, his hair slightly mussed. "Elias, what?" "I'm not here for the act," I interrupted. "I'm here for you. The real you. Not the billionaire, not the revenge scheme. Just you." He stared at me, his walls crumbling. "You don't know what you're asking," he said, but his voice was soft, almost pleading. "Then show me," I said, stepping closer. "Let me in." He kissed me again, slower this time, like he was savoring every second. And for the first time, I felt like we weren't pretending. But reality crashed in the next morning. A gossip blog published photos of Derek and Connor together, with a headline screaming, "Billionaire's fiancé still tied to X?" The article twisted everything, painting me as a gold digger playing both sides. Julian's phone blew up with calls from his PR team, and I saw the old coldness creep back into his eyes. "This is why I don't do this," he said, tossing his phone onto the counter. "People always find a way to ruin it." "It's just gossip," I said, reaching for his hand. "We know the truth." "Do we?" he asked, pulling away. Or are you still holding on to Derek? The accusation stung. I'm not the one who's scared, Julian. You're pushing me away because you're afraid to feel something real. He didn't respond, and I left, my heart heavy. Over the next few days, I threw myself into my art, sketching portraits of Julian, his sharp jawline, his guarded eyes. Each stroke was a confession, a way to process the chaos of my feelings. Then Derek showed up at my apartment. I'm begging you, Elias, he said, his voice raw. Give me another chance. Julian will destroy you. He doesn't know how to love. I looked at him, the man I'd once thought I'd marry, and felt nothing. You're wrong, I said. He's learning. And I'm done with you. My fiancé cheated on me, so I accepted the proposal of the cold billionaire who hated him the most. Part 4. The wedding was a week away, and Julian and I hadn't spoken since our fight. I stood in Central Park, sketching the autumn leaves, when he found me. He looked tired, his usual polish replaced by something raw and human. I was wrong, he said, his voice low. I pushed you away because I was scared. I've spent years building walls, Elias. But you make me want to tear them down. I set my sketchbook aside, my heart racing. Then do it, I said. Be honest with me. What do you want? He stepped closer, his blue eyes locked on mine. You, he said simply. Not for revenge. Not for a game. Just you. I kissed him under the autumn tree, the world fading away until it was just us. Two broken people choosing to heal together. The wedding went forward, but it wasn't about Derek anymore. It was about us, about choosing love over fear, trust over pain. On the day of the ceremony, in a small, intimate venue overlooking the Hudson, I walked down the aisle toward Julian. He smiled, a real smile, and I knew we were starting something new. Not a perfect love, but a real one, built on honesty and courage. As we exchanged vows, I glanced at the guests, Mia, beaming with pride, my parents, teary-eyed, even Derek, who'd shown up to wish me well, his face a mix of regret and acceptance. Julian's hand was warm in mine, his voice steady as he promised to stand by me, not as a billionaire or a schemer, but as a man who loved me. Months later, we sat in our new home, a cozy loft in Dumbo, surrounded by my sketches and Julian's books. The tabloids had moved on, and Derek was a distant memory. Julian traced his finger over one of my drawings, a portrait of us in Central Park. You changed everything, he said softly. So did you, I replied, leaning into him. Love wasn't a straight line. It was messy, complicated, and sometimes born from the ashes of betrayal. But as I looked at Julian, I knew we'd found something worth fighting for, a love that defied revenge, fear, and all the odds stacked against us.